Basketball fans, welcome back. So last week I wasn't that too much active on the channel as I had went out of town on a business trip, and right now I'm back and expect a lot of content coming your way. Made a few changes. Hope you all will enjoy. And in this video, we are back with the KNBL weekly, and a lot of things that happened this past weekend. I was mainly focusing on the NBA finals. I watched the whole games. I released a video today morning just talking about the Boston Celtics winning it, but in this one I'll just take it back to Kenya and we'll talk about the playoffs. So the playoffs are underway, and there are a couple of things that happened, and I just want to highlight them before we get into the video. But before we get into that, please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a ton, and we're on road to 10,000. So we are 2,228 subscribers. So get me to 10,000. It's a crazy goal. It's my goal, but anyway, it is what it is. So, and also like and also comment what you think in the comment section down below. So in this week's edition of the KNBL Weekly, we're just going to start with the Strathmore Swords versus the USIU Flames. So this game was supposed to happen, but the officials stopped this game because there were some irregularities, and I will also drop a video talking about this issue in depth, as it's a developing story. I have not been able to gather as much, but all we know right now is at the first quarter this game got suspended, so the officials committee ultimately decided to announce that the game will be temporarily suspended after consulting. So the fate of this series of the Strathmore Swords and the USIU Flames will be determined pending further investigation. So my initial reactions was, well, I mean, a lot of things have been happening in the KBF radar, and a lot of people have been keeping quiet. It's funny that this one emerged, but I will make a video just addressing this whole thing. And this game did not happen, as you can see on the screen. I put a suspended there, so the game was supposed to happen, but it didn't happen, and it was called off. So it's temporarily suspended. So we're just waiting to see the next results. But I will come up with like some reports as they develop. So moving on to the Strathmore Blades versus USIU Tigers game. So this was a sweep, and the Strathmore Blades are off to the semis, and they'll play KPA in the semis. So this match, I must say, this series will have gone either way. And this weekend, as I was just looking at the games, just looking at reports, just as I was making the script of this video, I noticed something that was very funny. All the first round matchups were sweeps. We saw what the KPA Dockers team did to the Wolfpack. We saw what happened with the Equity Dumas versus the Lindsay Warriors. We saw what the Zetech Sparks did to the Storms team, and also we saw what the KPA women's team did to. So looking at what the Nairobi City Thunder did to the UN Terra team, they were all sweeps. So I must say the first round was just somewhat of a snooze fest, and a lot of people just look at them as, you know, warm-up series. They're just warm-up series because at the end of the day they just want to see who's gonna play who in the semis, and this is where the rubber meets the road. And the Strathmore Blades have aligned themselves to a matchup that was somewhat, I must say, it was kind of odd for me, because I felt like this was the shot that the USIU Tigers had to be able to at least challenge and at least make some serious playoff noise. And we saw what they were able to do in the regular season. We saw what they were able to do in KPA. They were able to beat KPA in their home gym, and it was something that was so exciting to see. And it's unfortunate that they got swept in the first round. I was expecting even this series to at least even go to the best of three. It's a best of three at least. They shouldn't have looked like that. But anyway, so for the final match scheduled for the day, it was the men's Strathmore Blades who faced off against the USIU Tigers in game 2. So the Strathmore Blades, under the guidance of Coach Tony Ocheng, celebrated their qualifications to the semis. For Coach Tony Ocheng, it was a moment of pride and reflection. So he came out and said, "Fantastic job from my players." You know, he said that in a post-game interview. He also added, "We must also give our opponents credit for scouting our plays and making it difficult for us to penetrate." And he also added, at halftime, we made some adjustments that really impacted the game. We needed more shots, and they came through when it mattered the most. So he also added, I'm very happy for the boys, especially considering our journey this season, from being at the bottom of the league in the first leg to pushing to 6th position in the second leg. And now we are in the semis. This is a testament to their hard work and resilience. Now we are focused on preparing the next challenge, which is the Kenya Ports Authority. So just a quick backstory. In 2022, when the Strathmore Blades were at the height of the peak of their power after powering the Nderitu Thunder from way back in 2022, they beat them in the first round. Then they matched up against the Ulinzi Warriors. So those games against the Ulinzi Warriors way back in 2022 were close games. Even the game 3 that led to the eventual sweep, that led to the Ulinzi Warriors making it to the KBF finals, they were very close, and that's the time that they just had a very strong roster at the time. Then last year they had that sweep. They got swept by the Nderitu Thunder in the first round. But in this case, they were able to just rise, and they were able to do the unthinkable, because I did not envision the USIU Tigers just going down like that, because they had a very good season. They were able to manage to finish near in the top 4, and they were able to compete heavy with the top teams. And USIU Tigers, I actually didn't have a favorite, but a nod would have been given to them because they were able to beat KPA, and matching up against KPA would have been something that was going to be very sensational. But unfortunately, they just didn't show up, and that matchup was brutal because they got beat by 22 points. It was a blowout win, and full credit to the Strathmore Blades team. They were able to at least make it past the first round, because in the previous season they were not able to, and they got swept by the Nderitu Thunder. But right now, all focus is shifted towards that KPA matchup, which they're going to play in Mombasa, and the remainder of the series in Nairobi. So looking at that, a lot of people have just seen that KPA have just a direct line to the finals, but now the main challenge is making it past and getting through the Strathmore Blades team. So full credit to the Strathmore Blades. They're able to do what needed to be done, especially for teams, and it came at the brutal hands of a sweep. So that was a game that, and that was a series that, man, I just thought it was gonna go game 3, but anyway, it is what it is. So the Zetech Sparks versus Storms. I mean, this one was just brutal, very brutal, and the Zetech Sparks yet again brutalized the Storms team. So the Zetech Sparks, they swept the Storms team 2-0 to advance to the semis, and where they'll meet and they'll match up against the Equity Hawks. So the last time the Zetech Sparks and Equity Hawks met in the playoffs, that was last year in the semis. The Zetech Sparks swept the Equity Hawks 3-0 to make it to the finals. So the Zetech Sparks head coach Maurice Obilo has admitted that it was not an easy walk in the park for the students qualified to the semis for the Kenya National Basketball Women's Premier League after seeing off the Storms in their quarterfinals matchup. I mean, this statement is so debatable, because if you look at the first game that they played, that game ended 77-26, literally a no contest. At this point, when I saw that game, when I released the KNBL Weekly from last week, you could see it was just a cakewalk, and it's just nothing more than a warm-up series. And in game 2, it was nothing different, because this game ended 58-37. I know the Storms team were able to improve on scoring, but still, it was still a blowout, and they were able to limit the Zetech Sparks to 58. But it's just that they didn't want to embarrass the Zetech Sparks, didn't want to embarrass the Storms like that. So this was not even a difficult game or even a difficult series for them, because all roads showed that they were not going to lose in the first round, and they had their squad and they had what it takes to even make a finals push. So the Sparks, who shocked many last season to reaching the KBF finals for the first time and failed to clinch the title, they were able to go ahead and finish in the first round, and they finished off the Storms in embarrassing fashion, 58-37, a week after beating them 77-26, just like I said. And this is nothing more than a warm-up series. So Coach Obi, he came out and said the quarterfinals were competitive, which I And I saw this when I saw him say this. I was just shaking my head. But anyway, he came out and said the quarterfinal playoffs were competitive. We really pushed ourselves to go past the Storms. We did most of the things we wanted to do correctly to win the quarterfinals. He came out and said that, which I must say it was a head scratcher because there was no point in time where the Storms could have even posed even a threat. So he also added and he said, the preparations will start this week. We're focusing on few things we need to correct in the semis. The girls are okay. I can say the girls are decent and they are ready. He came out and said that. So, however, Obilo, whose team won the Eli Dowalo tournament last month, had brought together an elite Premier League team clubs and now shifted focus to how they're supposed to be able to play in the playoffs. So after clinching that and beating KPA, their morale was at an all-time high, especially after beating KPA in the Eli Dowalo tournament. And all roads just show that they have the ability to even compete heavy with the Equity Hawks, because the Equity Hawks, I must say, they're not looking as threatening as they were. I know they made quick work of their Lonets team, which was expected. I did not expect them to lose. But the Zetech Sparks have just figured them out, and they have the ability to go ahead and take them down. So Coach Obi, he came out and also said the mentality, attitude has changed, and knowing that these are the playoffs, we are good to go. We'll push ourselves and give the best show we can give. Hopefully we come out victorious. So he came out and said that, and I must say his strategies worked last year, and even this year they're set to work if he just makes some tweaks and adjustments. I know the rosters are a bit different, especially on the Equity Hawk side. They had a couple of signings this season, and the Zetech Sparks, they also had like a lot of a bit of changes into how they play. But this is going to be a series that I'm going to make sure to watch all through, and it looks like a nail biter, because if both teams don't back down and both teams just compete heavy and not letting their foot off the gas, it's going to be one of the most entertaining series, as we saw last year. Last year, I must say, it was a heated one. As you saw, we had a couple of heated moments between the Zetech Sparks and the Equity Hawks at some point. And looking at how the history and the Equity Hawks being swept by the Zetech Sparks, which was very embarrassing, we are in for some entertaining matchups there. So I'm eager to see that. And the series that I must say, it just marked the end of a team, is the Ulinzi Warriors versus the Equity Dumas series. So the Equity Dumas swept the Ulinzi Warriors 2-0, and this game ended 81-71, and it was so embarrassing for the Ulinzi Warriors team. And I mean, even Coach Kario Diambo, he came out and had a couple of things to say about it, and we're just going to get into that. So the Dumas won game 2 to take over the weekend 81-71 after winning game 1 72-64 over a week ago, and they will face the unbeaten side, the Nairobi City Thunder, in the playoffs semis. So that matchup that we have been waiting for, the Thunder versus Equity matchup, that is the one that people are really waiting on. People are not waiting for the Terror to be able to upset the Nairobi City Thunder, which was highly unlikely. People are not even waiting to see if the Equity Dumas were going to drop a game against the Ulinzi Warriors, because winning against the Ulinzi Warriors was a given. I did not see a situation where the Equity Dumas are going to drop that series, because everyone just wanted to see that rematch, because the Equity Dumas and Thunder have met on multiple occasions. The first leg last year, a nail-biting performance, the Thunder took it. This year during the regular season, this game, even when he talked about it in our KBNL weekly series, we mentioned that this game was very controversial, as there were calls that went to the Thunder's favor, there were calls that went to the Equity Dumas' favor. This game was decided, it was so clutch, it ended 73-70. So it was a game that it was a high stakes game, because nobody has come close to challenging the Nairobi City Thunder's record the way the Equity Dumas has. And all this came together in the Eli Dowalo tournament, which I must say was pretty exciting. In the first night, we saw the Equity Dumas take it on to the Nairobi City Thunder. They took it to them, and this game ended 67-70. 67-66. It was a 1-point game, and this was the closest. I know the Eldorado tournament was not a league game. It was not a league sanctioned game. It was a tournament. It's just like the in-season tournament anyway. But you could see the unbeaten record for the Thunder getting challenged by the Equity Dumas alone. No other team was able to do anything. Then the Equity Dumas met the Nderitu Thunder in the finals of the Eldorado tournament. This game was decided by 9 points. It ended 80-71, and this game went to overtime thanks to Griffin Ligari. And it was a good entertaining game. And now we're going to be treated to this in a 5-game series. We're going to see these two teams go in. And I must say, right now, the unbeaten record means nothing. Just make sure to win the series. It doesn't matter if you do it in 5 games. It doesn't matter if you do it in 4 games. Only one team can make it past these semis. It's either the Equity Dumas or the Nderitu Thunder. And looking at the way the Nderitu Thunder have been plagued with like the whole doping situation, the services of Alberto Dero not there, Alex Ramazani from the Equity Dumas not there, James Mwangi not there. So both teams look a bit short-handed, but looking at the way the Thunder's roster is, they still can compete heavy with any team that comes in their way. So this is another match that when I saw it, I was just excited to see that. So Coach Odhiambo, he came out and said it was a tough match, very physical, and winning the playoffs was a very good thing for us. We prepared very well for them. We fought well. We've been having issues at the end of the game, something we need to work on moving forward. And he also added, Thunder is a great opponent, especially when he was questioned and told that the Nderitu Thunder, they're going to match up with the Nderitu Thunder. They knew that because the Thunder finished they finished off the Terror about a week ago. So he came out and said the Thunder is a great opponent, something we need to work on, including mentality moving forward, mentality of a lion, and that we need to be tough and raw in the jungle of basketball. So he came out and said that. So the Thunder versus Dumas series is set, and they're going to meet in the semis. And the Ulinzi Warriors, they're just on the receiving end of another beatdown, and just got mollywopped in this first round. Got swept. The last time they got swept was in the second round. They got swept by, they just got swept by the Equity Dumas in the semis, and it was very embarrassing. So the Ulinzi Warriors being swept marks the end of their dominance in Kenyan basketball. This is a team that fell off after making the finals in 2022. At 2022, at some point, the Ulinzi Warriors were a top team. But looking at the way they played, it was a pathetic showdown. Now, it was truly pathetic. And looking at how things just panned out, it was just something that needed to happen. So the Equity Dumas, they swept the Ulinzi Warriors in their playoff semis last year, and now the Ulinzi Warriors are back home where they belong. And I don't know where they go from here, because if they're not able to even make it past the first round, even not even able to win a game, it's very embarrassing. So onto the other news, we saw the Kenya U18 basketball teams in Uganda. They played there, and only one ticket was up for grabs, and both teams settled for bronze in the AfroBasket qualifiers, and Uganda dominated. Of course, Uganda had to dominate home court, and they were able to grab that ticket. So, personally, I didn't read in too much. I watched the games when they happened, and I was very excited to see the young guys just mix it up there and just put some reps in, especially representing the country. And I feel like the U18 squad should be maintained, and this is where the senior team should be derived. And these young guys need more reps. They need to stay together and be able to play together. So the only big change that I need to see is the firing of the whole coaching staff and management for Team Kenya. That whole team that was coaching them and teaching, they need to go home and bring in competent people who know how to rebuild and nurture a young core. Because following this young core, that means that we have the future. Because these young guys are the future of both the men's and women's team. As the senior team for the Kenya Morans and Kenya Lioness continue to become mediocre, and they fail in even understanding basic basketball concepts. They don't know even how to read a game and make plays. We need to now focus and shift our attention to the U18 team and try to see if they can grow into their positions. They can be able to understand how to conduct themselves in continental games. So they are supposed to be the focus. As we have seen in recent times, even in videos made on this channel, I have been very vocal about the incompetence when it comes to the senior teams, both the men and women's team. And when I saw the U18 women's team play, I must say they have a long way to go, especially when it comes to people just giving them instructions on how to play. And the coaching staff and management have done a very poor job in setting up these players, especially when it comes to preparation, when it comes to even teaching these young boys and girls the game. Because when I looked at the women's game, I must say it was so difficult to watch. It was just all over the place. Even the men's game just looked all over the place. Nobody knows or even understands play calls. But I wouldn't even put any blame on the players, because the players are only working on the instincts that they've been working on, given how they've been playing here in Kenya. But looking at the coaching staff that enables them to continue doing those mistakes, they are the ones that are destroying the team, and they need to go. And you need to bring in people who understand. Put an application out there and say, we're looking for a U18 coach to coach Team Kenya and Kenyan basketball. You will see the people who will show up and go ahead and coach the team. So it is what it is. So I must say I'm very excited to see them get active, because the last time we saw the Kenya Lioness senior team play was about 1.5 years ago. That was last year in February, 2023 February. So that's over a year and a half ago. So I've not even seen them get active or suit up. I've done virtually nothing. I've seen the Kenya Morans men's team get active in February. I know the other window is next year, February. But looking at the way that they are so lax, and they are not even, the team is like inactive right now. They're just going to wait for last minute to go ahead and embarrass themselves again. So anyway, I mean, I'm at some point I feel like I'm the only one who cares. But anyway, you guys who are listening to me care. So it's very frustrating seeing how things are being conducted. But all my hope is just on this this under 18 team. I feel like they are the future, and if you're able to do it right and get the right people to be able to coach this group of young boys and girls, we'll have the ability to go ahead and even do something. Anyway, it is what it is. So that's all I got for you guys in this KNBL weekly. We'll be just dropping a couple of videos as time progresses. I know a lot of things have been happening, but I will keep you posted on my socials. And also just make sure to check out the Nderitu basketball Facebook group. That's where I'll be posting news as they unfold. And also, if you want to reach out to me, you can also tweet. You can also reach out to me on my socials. They're out there and linked in the description. And also, if you want to support the channel, I've put a till number there for MPESA. You can send me something on MPESA, and you can also, if you're listening and you're outside the continent, there's a PayPal donations link in the description box. So click that, and you can be able to support the network and also support the content as it comes. So if you guys like the video, like, share, subscribe to the channel. I'ma see you guys in the next one. Peace out.